With future buildings being smart, the entire process of construction, as well as operation and maintenance, will also be smart in the future. Technological support, typically the IT technology, will enable us to work easily and live enjoyably at all the stages of buildings, including design, transaction, construction, operation and maintenance. At the design stage, architects can make an intelligent analysis of the project location with the big data technology, carry out architectural design and scheme selection through the professional and efficient BIM technology, and directly communicate with owners and contractors remotely by using such technologies as internet and holographic projection to enhance work efficiency. Furthermore, architects can conduct a simulation of day lighting and wind environment with the BIM technology in a virtual space to determine an optimal scheme. In that virtual space, architects can also perform detailed design, collision checks on pipes and wires, multidisciplinary collaborative checks, and space coordination in order to detect problems in advance, reduce rework and lower costs. Besides, the direct application of big data, such as material prices and construction cost indicators and BIM models, makes it easy to take off quantities and estimate costs precisely. Finally, architects will develop the component-based design for implementing the prefabricated construction from production to installation. At the plant, technologies like 3D printing enable the mass production of building components, turning traditional construction workers into industrial workers. As a result, the traditional wet trades on construction sites will be replaced by integrated prefabricated building. At the construction stage, BIM-based 5D simulation of construction enables contractors to get control over project progress, constant changes, obtain fast access to plans of quantities, materials, and labor for optimizing resource allocation, controlling project costs in a timely and accurate way, and achieving lean management of projects. In combination with Internet of Things, mobile applications and cloud technologies, contractors can perform green, lean, and intensive management of project progress, costs, personnel, quality, safety, and materials at construction sites in a monitor room to ensure that project objectives are realized in an effective manner and smart construction is achieved. At the completion stage, the BIM model has already integrated information and data from all the stages of construction, allowing owners and contractors to carry out settlement, acceptance, etc. in an intuitive way. At the operation and maintenance stage, the structure, equipment, services, and management of the building can be combined in an optimized manner as needed to offer an energy-efficient, comfortable, healthy, and human-oriented environment for residents. Furthermore, the thoroughly integrated BIM model will continue to work in repair, renovation, reconstruction, and extension, offering great convenience to owners and project teams. The in-building navigation system helps visitors to get real-time information about positions and routes. In the future, smart buildings will redefine the relationship between buildings and human beings, between buildings and the ecological environment, making our life and work more harmonious and better. Build intelligent future with technology. Gladden is looking forward to building the future of buildings together with you. Gladden, just for your blueprint.
Hi, hello everyone. A very good Thursday afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You are in the live webinar of Unlocking the Full Potential of 5D BIM, Stay Competitive in the New Normal. Hi, I'm Kimi from Golden Company Limited, Southeast Asia Marketing Team. A warm welcome to everyone for joining us online today. So before we kickstart today's webinar, let me just remind you guys that to get the most out of this webinar today, you may actually engage with us by using the Q&A panel to send in your questions at any time of this webinar. Chat messages and private messages might not be able to respond sometime, so please use the Q&A panel only. You are muted during this webinar to ensure our speaker deliver the speech without any interruption. For those who wish to have an in-depth discussion with us, please feel free to contact us at Southeast Asia marketing@global.golden.com after this webinar, and we will surely respond to your email. Lastly, there will be a webinar survey sent to everyone after this live event. So please help us to complete the webinar survey and verify your email address in the survey form, as the webinar certification will be sent to your email. So now, let's kickstart today's webinar. Let me formally introduce our speaker of today, Mr. Nas, Principal Business Expert of Golden Company Limited. Nas previously was a senior project executive at various top construction companies. He is also a registered quantity surveyor under a statutory body of Board of Quantity Surveyors Malaysia and a member of Royal Institution of Surveyors Malaysia. Prior to joining Golden, he was intensively involved throughout the construction phases of various projects, such as mixed development projects, industrial buildings, and infrastructures such as MRT projects. He is now focusing on developing the AEC industry across Asia region towards digital environment. Graduated with our honor degree of quantity surveying, then further his study to master the project management. Currently, he is doing his PhD, concentrating on research and infrastructure projects and digital construction. While the pandemic has indeed caused much disruptions globally, the construction industry is facing unprecedented challenges and uncertainties. While grasping with recovery, the industry is undergoing digital revolution as we see many traditional tools and processes being replaced with digital ways of working. BIM and digital cost management technology are transforming how construction companies operate, helping construction professionals to do the same job faster, easier, and more accurately in order to grab opportunities and gain stronger footing to emerge stronger. In today's webinar, we will cover 4 key topics. Number 1, digital transformation in the construction industry. Number 2, what are the BIM dimensions and how it can support your project lifecycle. Number 3, utilizing 5D BIM in the new normal. And lastly, there will be a short Q&A session. So do engage with us by typing in your questions in the Q&A panel at any point of this webinar. And now, I shall pass my time to our speaker of today, Mr. Nuts, to kickstart today's main agenda. And Mr. Nuts, are you there?
Hi, Kimi.
Hi, now I will pass the time to you and your turn, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kimi. So good afternoon, everyone. So briefly, Kimi has gone through the introductions about what we be having today. Okay, so the title of this webinar is unlocking the full potential of 5D BIM. So we'll get deeper the idea of 5D BIM. So before I get to that, I'll go through with you guys briefly. Some of it is about the digital transformation, and then after that, some introductions about what is BIM, okay? And then we'll get deeper to the 5D BIM area, okay? All right, so to get the idea of digital transformation, okay, we cannot just transform. We need to we need to understand the reasons why we do such thing. Okay, so the digital transformation actually is how we try to leverage, you know, all the opportunities presented by the technology that we have at the moment. Okay, we have advanced analytics, we have sensors, robotic, 3D printing, and many others. So that is digital transformation in general, but we'll see on how we can leverage and we can make use in our industry. So the important thing before we start with the digital transformation, we cannot just do something because others are doing it, okay? We cannot just try to do a new thing because the competitors are doing it. So we need to really know why we need to change in the digital challenge. Okay, why is it so important for us or for our organization to embrace digitalization? And then what precisely that we need to change? Okay, is it a certain process, or is it a full process of it? Okay, so from the overall business model to the central elements of value creation, the service development, or even the culture. Okay, so understanding of what to change will give us a sense of direction. And then how we organize the digital transformation and change the structure, the processes. So this involves various parties, okay, either internally or externally, on how we always connect with the, say, the digital solutions provider on how they can help us, right? So we always kind of find a way to make the transformation to be more success. Okay, next on digital transformation, it cannot just happen in one day. Okay, it doesn't work that way. So when it comes to the digital change, the transformation, okay, it cannot just happen in one night. It has to go through a systematic process, a right approach to ensure that we can fully leverage from the technology that we have. Okay, it's not that you know, it may not be relevant, say, for example, a 3D printing for a consultant firm, for example. So we try to be more specific in adopting a certain solution, right? So to go through with that, we need to understand the level of transformation, okay? So we need to first, of course, we know what we doing, what the business that we're offering to the clients. So first level is about strengthening the foundation, okay? How the current practice can be digitized, and are we taking the advantage of technologies or the IT, and are we promoting innovative thinking in our business? Okay, so that is on the first level. And then on the second level, we have the development of digital opportunities. So can we develop the new service or product? So previously, maybe we are, say, incapable to handle a certain business. But now with the technology that can be used by your people, by your organizations, maybe there's some new business that you would like to introduce to the clients. Okay, so we need to really try to fully leveraging the efficiency potentials of digitalization. And then come to the third part is about the building the new ecosystem. So we can see even in the construction, the environment is changing, okay, from traditional method to on how we are moving towards BIM, right? So in the new ecosystem, we try to find out, you know, are there new competitors that are disrupting the current business model or with latest technology? Are there any profit pools emerging? So even on our side, we have various of clients that, after they try to adopt a certain solution from our side, they're able to transform themselves, they're able to expand the business and try to penetrate into the other business. So these are the 3 levels of digital transformation. Okay, next is I'm not going to go something that is very basic, that I think all of us are familiar with the idea of BIM. But this is something that is still what I see. People get confused a lot of the idea of BIM. What can be said as BIM. There's even, some people even say that there are some applications that is not BIM. That certain application is not BIM. It's not real BIM. So the question is, are there such things, like a real BIM or not real BIM, things like that? So let's get deeper understanding about the features of the BIM. So this is in accordance with the ISO 19650. Okay, so what can be said as a BIM? So the first part is about the clear information. Okay, so it needs to have a clear definitions for the information needed by the project client or asset owner, and for the methods, processes, deadlines, protocols that will govern its production and checking. Okay, so first part is about having a clear information, right? So that is the first features of the BIM. So secondly, it's about the sufficient quantity and the quality information, right? So the quantity and the quality of the information produced are sufficient and satisfy the defined information needs, okay? And whilst not compromising health and safety or security. So too much information represents wasted efforts by the supply chain and too little means clients. Okay, or owners take uniform decisions about their projects or assets. So this can be subjective depending on the project itself, depending on the organization itself, right? So sometimes we know that the BIM capabilities can extend to a lot of things, to supply us with a lot of information, but is it relevant with the business? Okay, is it relevant to your practice? Is it relevant to your discipline? Okay, so that this is what the point is trying to say. We need to make sure that the information is sufficient, okay, and satisfied. So remember these 2 keywords, right? And thirdly, is about the efficient and effective transfer. Of course, the information, right, on the way that we communicate, it has to be efficient. It cannot be, it cannot be isolated, right? We are in BIM. We are not promoting a silo working environment. Okay, so in this point, we try to explain that the efficient and the effective transfer of information between those involved in each part of the life cycle. So particularly within the projects and between projects delivery and asset operation. Okay, so it needs to make sure that every stages or every phases of the project, or even the life cycle of the assets, it needs to have a efficient and effective transfer of information. Okay, so that's very, very important, right? So these are the 3 features that are introduced from the ISO, right? So we need to really understand about this, so that in the future, when we try to adopt certain solutions, or when we try to change a certain solution, we know what we're doing. All right. So next, I will explain a bit on the BIM dimensions, right? So I think most of you already familiar with the BIM dimensions. Okay, so like say for in 3D, okay, it's not just that we need to prepare and organize the visualization aspect of the model, but also require analysis and clashing and coordinating from the aspects of these different disciplines. So any code and any standards of information of model must be compiled. So that is more or less on what we have in, I mean, typically we have in a 3D, okay? And then if you talk about 4D, as we created the 3D model, we can generate the accurate program information and scheduling data through step-by-step visual to the project development, okay? And of course, in 5D, so how do we define BIM 5D in comparison with other dimensions? So with the BIM 5D, it allows the cost manager to collaboratively manage and control the project cost with the project team with the 3D model in a more efficient manner and per standard method of measurement. All right. So I think the keyword here is the standard method of measurement on how we try to comply with this. Okay, I believe there are a lot of applications in the market that that able to come up with a certain quantities, okay, a certain informations that relates with the cost planning, cost management, and so on. But the question is on how it's really comply with the standard method of measurement. So that is a challenge that for us to think. And of course, in adopting a technology, right, there are various challenges, and change itself is not easy and it's not straightforward. As I mentioned earlier, it needs to go through a systematic process. Okay, so these are a few challenges that I basically I select to make you maybe have a more idea on what are the challenges that we're facing when we try to adopt 5D BIM. Okay, so the first one is about the standard forms of practice. All right, so when we try to adopt some technology, or even in 5D BIM, we didn't really set out the standards that we want to set for the organization or the project itself. Okay, so without a clear standard or a guideline, the BIM modelers often feel obliged to under or over inform, okay, which makes the worst, and there's a risk of design errors in a BIM. So errors and the misinformation will then further complicate people like a QS, okay, to manage and to register the required material within the model for the development of the cost estimate. Okay, sometimes people get excited with the information that we have on the model, but yeah, again, try to recall what I've mentioned just now based on the BIM features is to have a sufficient information for the needs of the clients or even for the projects. Okay, so we try to be more selective in choosing the informations that we want to use, because there's too much information also is not good, because it does not really provide provide a useful meanings either to us or to the business or to the project. Okay, so second part is about the technical challenges. So I think we are all aware about the technical challenges, especially about the manpower, about the skills that people have. Okay, a certain people that comes from a various backgrounds, that come from a various countries. Okay, we are going through a different experience, right? And maybe there's some locations, maybe they do not have an access in understanding what is 5D BIM, and or even to even understand the basic of the cost management. So the technical challenges is very common. So that's why I think I will explain more on how we can mitigate these technical challenges, right? So it's about the unskilled people, right? Someone that needs to get better in terms of the skills and the capabilities, right? And next one is the organizational challenges. Okay, so I think this is relates internally, right? On how sometimes we are being biased about certain technology. You know, we think that, oh, it's okay that we are not adopting anything. It's okay that we are not changing anything. So that is about the organizational challenges. So I think it's also closely related with the leadership. All right. So the leader of the companies, all right, they are the one who are responsible on this organization, okay, how it's being shaped. So next part, this is a very interesting, about the economic and the financial challenges. Okay, so to start with, I think I'll try to give a certain, idea to make it simple. We often hear that sometimes the software or the any digital applications being expensive. Okay, certain solution is being expensive and we cannot afford. The business, the company cannot afford that. Okay, but if we try to have open mindset, okay, we try to have a much positive mindset to it. Okay, this part is actually caused by poor financial planning. Okay, and sometimes it feels uncertain about any innovative process or system, and uh, and then the mindset of not trying to explore the new technology, the processes, or the any new business model. So it relates to these financial challenges. Okay, so in order for us, to adopt, we need to really take care of the financial, right? So just imagine if we personally, all right, we think that buying a car can be expensive, but we're still able to afford that. We're still able to achieve that, and monthly expenses to maintain the car, right? To pay for the commitment is also not cheap, but we're capable to do that. Why? Because we have a proper financial management to that. So same goes if we bring to the business. Okay, it may cost us some I would say some impacts to the financial. But if we really be careful about the certain technologies that we want to adopt, we basically manage, and at the end of the day, the technology that we invested into, it will benefit, it will brings us the return that we expect. Right, so that is more towards the economic and the financial challenges. So this is very common for any organization, especially those who are really trying to push for change. Okay, and the cultural issues. Okay, so this is of course talk about the higher level on how we always try to connect with other parties, on how we try to collaborate. Okay, how we try to connect with our subcontractors or any project team. Okay, so this is the standards that standard issues that we've been having in regards with 5D BIM. Okay, so next I'll give you some idea on how we can put some strategy to adopt the 5D BIM. Okay, so remember these 3 key steps, right, in adopting a 5D BIM. So the first one is to set a standards-based approach. Okay, so standard form, maybe it comes from, it may come by countries, all right, or by a model method. Okay, we need to set a standard first, right? Put some a simple example, right? When not talking about how we are transforming at the moment. Okay, just try to think that when we want to conduct a certain project, right, what are the common standard of measurement that we adopt, right? So that is a similar situation when it comes to adopting a 5D BIM. We need to know what are the standard forms that we will be going to use, all right, at the organizational level, at the project level. So we need to understand on that. Okay, and then even by the model method. Okay, we need to set the standards. What are the, say, for example, you are the QS, okay, and you want to, you are setting the standards to the designers to output the 5D, okay, to output the cost dimension. You are the one who demanding for that, so you need to set that kind of standard, right? And another thing is about the collaborative and integration culture. Okay, of course, when we talk about BIM in general, it's about on how we collaborate and how we communicate better, even to the external party. So how we can do that if the internal, the internal stakeholders itself are not communicating so well, right? So we need to have a clear communication and avoid any jargon. Try to make the language very simple for everyone to understand. Okay, something that is very very easy. As we moving to this new environment, a lot of terms, it's being introduced, so it's gonna get confused by a lot of people. But in making the transformation process be more effective, right? We need to have a very clear communication and language. Okay. And the third part, also a very critical part, is about the supports and the continuous development. Okay, so look at our business model, right? So we try to think how the supports that we might require, okay, especially from the digital solution provider. So just now I mentioned about the challenge. One of the challenges is about the unskilled people, right? So maybe there is some imbalance with the organization when it comes to the people. Some may be more advanced, right, and some may be a bit like behind, right, in terms of the digital mindset. So um, by choosing a right digital solution provider, okay, that provide a strong support, right, to provide a strong service, can basically helping us in adopting the 5D BIM. Okay, so again, like I said, it's not easy for us to just adopt something. So it requires experts, all right, to make the objective realized. Okay, so that's it for this strategy for adopting the BIM, 5D BIM. Next, I'll be sharing briefly about the technology available, right? Technology that is, I would say, still relates with the industry, okay? As the stakeholders and the professionals involved in a construction project tend to be geographical dispersed, it can also enable communication and collaboration through a remote excel while displaying the most up-to-date model and information. So that is why a cloud BIM technology is being introduced, even from the very beginning of BIM. So it somehow portray the idea of a cloud technology because of this, okay, geographic concerns. And then it also, talking about the analyzing in the multiple dimensions, okay. So as an extensive lifecycle data management platform, BIM basically facilitate the administration and the analysis of the multiple dimensions. So not just the cost, okay, but even the time, and also the quality, okay. So there is a multiple dimension. And the big data in BIM, right? So this is another branch of technology that we are looking into in the industry, okay. Of course, currently we've been dealing with the small data and the big data. So as for the big data, right, is an extremely large data set that may be analyzed computationally to reveal patterns, okay, and to reveal the trends that especially relating to the human behavior and the interactions, right? So That's how the big data is being used. Okay. And then that might even includes the geometric information such as the size, the volume, shape, and the spatial relationship, and even the non-geographic, non-geometric information. You know, the type of individual construction component, the specifications of the material, the construction schedules, and the cost. Right. And then another branch that we are looking into is also the computational BIM, okay, about the multiple proposals. So the concept of this computational BIM is tightly related to parametric design, the algorithmic design, and generative design, where the aesthetic elements in design are produced in a computational form and in relation to the cost implication. Okay, it basically enables exploring the multiple design options with the cost implications. So we're going through with the the traditional process is taking a lot of time. Okay, so that is why this computational BIM is being introduced. Okay, because it offers a more efficient way to switch between the design options, no matter how complex the design is. And in the future, perhaps we explore more in predicting the operating costs in the building maintenance stage. Okay, so these are the three technology that I wouldn't say that is only available in general, but something that is very closely related with our industry in construction. Okay. So next, what I have is the question. Okay, so this is the questions that we always hear, and it's not just in the quantity surveying area, but as well as the other disciplines and the industry. You know, whether the technology will replace us, especially now we're talking about quantity surveyors or cost professionals. Okay, can the technology really replace this? So that's the questions that we always ask, right? And talking about the new QS and businesses, okay, in general, the operation itself still rely on the operations of people, even when the manual measurements are being waived. Okay, so even we adopting technology, computer technology, it still requires people to put some values in it. Okay, to provide some meanings out of it, right? So this is what we need to understand. The existing situations that would just enhance the QS capabilities. So this is important, right? Not just the operation level, but as well as the strategic or the senior level people. So the quantity surveyors may, encounter issues such as inconsistent quality of the BIM model, inconsistent level of design information, data exchange issues in the BIM tools, and inconsistent formats used for estimating. But the biggest one is how that we filter BIM data to comply with relevant standard method of measurement. Okay, so talking about the output. Okay, I think almost all of the applications that we have in the market able to come out with a simple calculation, right? So you just see from the model itself how many numbers, what's the length, and things like that. It's just like that to output it. Okay, it's very simple, but the question here is whether the applications, right, able to filter the information that we required with relevant standard method of measurement. Okay, so this is very crucial for us QS when we adopting a certain technology in our work. So in Croden, okay, in Croden, we are known globally as a 5D BIM digital cost management solutions. Okay, so we provide the customers with the whole project life cycle, right? So it's not just during the pre-contract stage, but up until the final account, we're able to give solutions to the clients and we are getting into how to say the idea how we introduce to our audience about the 5D BIM. Okay, so for those who may not be a bit familiar with the Crodens, this is just a brief introduction, right? So we are the world top 5 AEC digital company in the construction, right? And we cover more than 100 countries, and I think it's is quite convenient actually for you guys to reach us, to find out more about us, as we are not just having the offices around this Southeast Asia market, but beyond that in Europe. Okay, we also have a office, and if you're unable to reach us, also we have a partner, right, that covers India, Taiwan, Bahrain, Oman, right, most in the Middle East, okay, even in East Java, Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia, to try to reach us and to get to know about us. So I'm going to launch a poll, all right? So this will take a few minutes to try to answer the poll, right? Before we get to the next session is more towards the 5D BIM, right? So just have a quick vote for us to understand your situation. Another 20 seconds. Okay, I'm ending the poll very soon. I think there are still people putting a vote there, right? So I'm going to end the poll right now, right? I think it can be seen that I mean quite numbers of participants actually we have here, right? So the question is, have you using any BIM solution in your current work process? Okay, so 42% voted yes. Okay, and 26% voted no, and another 32% voted plan soon. Okay, so we hope that in a very near future that this even 32% will try to adopt the BIM solution in the near future, try to convert that into a yes. Okay, so I think actually I'm just thinking about those who are voted no. I believe you have your own reasons why you voted no, and hopefully, all right, hopefully in our survey form, or even later, maybe you have anything that you like to let us know, all right, tell us why you voted no, right? So I think I'm also quite curious about that. Okay, so that is just that is the polling session that we have. So let me get to the next session. Okay, moving on to the next session. utilizing BIM in the new normal, right? So why we call it as a new normal? Because the usage of BIM is no longer something that is alien to our industry, right? Now, I mean, factoring the current situation now with the pandemic that we all have to work from home, I think that basically pushes us to find a new way and a new strategy on how we can still remain competitive in the market, and as well as being more still be more productive with our work. Okay, so I believe even the post-pandemic, the technology will still be around that helps us push us to um, to provide a better output to the clients, right? To provide a better working environment. So here in the 5D BIM, okay, I'll be touching about this enhanced solution, the accuracy with the SMM, the full lifecycle application, integrated cloud, efficient costing data management, and how we enable BIM workflow. Okay. So for the first part, okay, as a leading digital cost solution provider, we always put a strong priority into our R&D capability, and for any innovative solutions that we are I would say producing, okay, it comes from the needs of our customer, from our clients. Okay, so it is something that we would like to the audience to know, that in technology, the solutions that we're trying to put out is non-stop, right? And as a leading digital solution provider, also it needs to come up with the enhancements every year, because almost every day we hear issues from the clients. We hear that they are struggling in a certain process, and how, you know, they always ask how it can be, you know, improved. So of course, um, in 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 moving towards the BIM environment, the enhancements and the introduction of new features every year is quite crucial, okay, to make sure that the process can be made more accurate, or even more faster and smarter with our solution. Okay, so understanding that in a 5D environment is very crucial. Okay, the technology cannot just stop there. And with the 5D BIM also, okay, one of the, I think I mentioned just now, one of the causes of a contract dispute in a project is the differences in quantities between the contract BQ and the actual works carried out on site. So I've mentioned earlier, right, and how the quantity surveyor needs to comply with the standard method of measurement. And there are some organizations are getting their quantities from the design applications such as Revit, AutoCAD. So this is a very common situation. And for me, this is worrying, okay, for me personally, because it's not because of the modelers or the engineers can produce the quantity out of the BIM model. It's not the worrying part. So the worrying part is that the quantities, you know, for us at QS, it needs to be carefully measured in accordance to the standard method of measurement. So that's a situation where the clients are getting headache because the costs are not able to be managed. So I've talked to a lot of clients, and they are asking me how come something like this happened. You know, they wonder, my project use BIM. I've appointed BIM consultants. I use this and I use that software, but why can I get the right costing? You know, why there's a the difference with the quantity? Why there's still a cost overrun? So those are the questions that I always receive. So expecting to have a right quantities, a right costing from the design authoring application, it's like trying to get to the island with the car instead of the boat. So we are using a tools that not helping us with our business operation. So we really need a right to make sure that it goes through a right protocol, right? In producing the quantities, the BQ, because this is a part of the contract, right? So if you're not going through carefully the quantities, the costing, so it will have a strong negative impact in our contract later on. And even worse, when there's a disputes coming up, right? The thing that we said earlier is already wrong, so it can complicate the situation even more, right? So remember about not just having a fancy tool, but something that be able to output the accurate quantities and the right costing. Okay. So in Cubicos, right? Of course, this is something that we always keep as a priority. Okay. We have a various measurement rules that suits with the organization or the project, right? So we want our client to obtain the quantities with confidence. When you table the reports to the client, you can present it in confidence. The next part is about the data management and efficient costing. So report standards are common issues and still happening in many projects where the client not satisfied with the format that the QS prepared. Okay, so the establishment of 5D BIM with Cubicos has helped and satisfied many clients around the world, right? Especially when they use our, if I mentioned the specific product is the TBQ. And another thing to point out, in a traditional process, all data are being kept individually or in a different departments of the organization. So data can only be accessed by transferring, merging, updating the Excel file. So this is time consuming, labor intensive and prone to error process. So it is not easy for the QS or the managers to filter and capture relevant information to utilize it, okay, for further analysis under this working environment. So having a centralized a source of data, okay, and the information is a way forward in establishing the 5D BIM environment. Okay, so it's very, very important for us to remember that. And I also remember back then when I have to stay in the office until early in the morning to write down the prices for the tender submission. So well, in a BIM 5D environment, process of tender pricing is made easier with application like TBQ. And in a traditional way, we have to do, inking, writing down on the papers the prices. Then when we have a error, we have to start all the way up. So it's tiring, it's time consuming. So with that process, it's not that convenient as well. So in 5D BIM environment, we try to work something that can make the operation even smarter. Okay, so when with the helps of technology, we can have more focus with the pricing and cost strategy or any other valuable tasks that deserve your high attention. So part of it is the e-tendering. Okay, so maybe this is something that we've heard a lot, but it's something that still not being widely being leveraged by us consultants or even the contractors. So in a traditional process, it's taking so much time and we have a high tendency exposed to error when transcribing the submission data from papers, the paper tenders that the contractor submitted to Excel. Then we have to check one by one. So that cannot be convenient. So after that process, the data from various submission files have to be combined into one. And before the prices are being compared and evaluated manually, you know, we still have to do a detailed checking to that. So Cubicle solution always put the project cost at the highest level. So with e-tender, we reduce the risk and provides a better platform during tendering process. And in our 5D BIM environment, so everyone is inclusive. Okay, so this is a figure that what I'm trying to show here is the environment of for the e-tendering. Okay, and we see that there are involvement from the consultant, the contractor, all the way to the subcontractor. Okay, so from the upstream to the downstream. So the idea, right? So I just explained briefly on how we conduct the e-tendering. Okay, so the consultant will produce a document, and this file will be issued to the contractor. And when they open the files, okay, they can just put the pricings in, and even they can do the same to the subcontractors. Okay, and once they've done with the submissions, all right, once they've done with the pricing, they will return the document. Okay, they will return the document, just a document, simple as that. So in this kind of environment, right, it can save a lot of time, and it save actually a lot of paper that being used that we typically use during the tender process. Not just that, even talking about the analysis and the evaluation part, right? The data can be processed easily and more efficient. Okay. So to find out more, I think there's a lot to explain and to demonstrate, but I hope that you get the idea of e-tendering. Okay, it's almost similar like how we do a normal tender. It's just that it's in a digital platform. That's all, right? And of course, full lifecycle application. Okay, most of the site QS, they do manual takeoff, which is again time consuming, especially when we have to do this. We have to do this every month. Okay, so with the construction module, it covers the whole project life cycle from the pre-contract to the post-contract stage. Okay, so it improves basically what you try to do is you basically do your claim document, okay, on the digital platform, and you're able to visualize. If let's say there are some disputes or there's some, I won't say dispute, I will say disagreements with the contractors or with the other project teams, okay, you may provide some visual to it. Where are the demarcations that you point out, and how how you come up with the certain quantities, how you come up with certain costs that you claim. So all those things can be justified when we have a right to. Okay, and this is also one of the, I mean, adopting 5D BIM is advantageous, because this is one of a strong preventive measure. Because one of the issue in disputes, right, I've heard a lot that it's all about money. It's about the claims and things like that, right? Because they don't have a proper contract documents. They don't have a proper documents or system that can be used when there are such issues arise. So it is very, very important for us to understand on certain applications that helps us, especially during when the project started. And I've mentioned just now, so this is just a figure to get you understand better on how the construction module being utilized here. So during the construction phase with 5D BIM, the QS able to increase the efficiency in preparing the payment with the relevant information integrated with the solution. Okay, so apart from that, in Cubicles, we are now able to identify and easily on the drawing changes, which help us to compare drawings automatically. So that's very, very convenient that we do not have to, you know, to involve so many drawings and then try to that put it on the tables and show to the clients. It may cause a confusion to them. Okay, so here we can use make how to say, really make use of this revision function to make you know, to make the process easier. So it is not just I mean, previously maybe you've heard about something that we do the addendum change, right, during the pre-contract, but in the post-contract also the variation order is very common for us to have it. Okay, so again with these features, it able to extract out the variation order into the cost model. So that way, I think as I mentioned earlier on how we can use it up until the final account. So even though, you know, we change the people in the organization, you know, the people who in charge previously may not be around to answer certain questions, right? But when we have the right tools and the right system, it enables to how to say, to retrieve a certain information that might be needed to our project. The same logic of procedures for the QS to prepare the claim document. Okay, so in 5D BIM environment, so the first step is to create the segmentation, you know, and then we need to set a calculation scope to determine that what are those elements that you want to calculate as for that claim, and then we can start to draw a segmentation. So this is the idea basically on how we can extract out a quantities in more specific way. Okay, so you don't need to have you need to print out the documents, the papers, and then you have a lot of highlighters on your table to highlight where is the part that you claim and so on. So those process are very traditional and not that effective. So in this way, it can, you know, we can actually make the process even way smarter and friendly to everyone. And this is about the Cubicles Cloud, right? On how we can work collaboratively, okay, organized with the project files, management, improving team collaboration anywhere and anytime. So one of the technology that I've mentioned earlier about the cloud function. So that is something that we also introduce to our clients, okay, to make sure that they're able to communicate better with the internal stakeholders or even with the client, okay, to basically to collaborate better, so they understand why, you know, in certain maybe there are some parts that may be critical for them, and then we can just provide them this kind of visual to them to explain the situation. So I think that will create trust and understanding between the project teams. Okay, and part of that is also about the supervision. So it's very, very important that the supervisions also will be carried out. And then in enabling the BIM workflow, right? So during feasibility studies also, we do not have much time to basically come up with a costing, okay? So if let's say you have a lot of prototypes that you want to produce, right? And then it's something that is, you know, change in construction is very, very common. Okay, so we basically can just reuse the upstream Revit or IFC model to get instant quantity takeoff. Because during the, especially during the like I said just now, during the feasibility studies, you know, we have a lot of prototypes that may or may not be used later in a design, in a detailed design stage. Okay, so we try to shorten that process by having a tools that helps us to output into to basically import into the Cubicos platform, right? So just think on how we usually receive the PDF or the CAD files, and we start taking off and estimating the cost. So here with the Cubicos, we enable the digital workflow, right? Bringing your architectural and structural works to continue with managing the cost. So we also run some tests, and for that amount of works, you know, I mean, talking about the architectural and the structural works, that we usually produce in 4 weeks with the traditional methods. Okay, we can basically speed up to only 20 minutes, okay, with our technology. And yes, that's our focus in the 5D BIM solution, to help you and your business run efficiently, smarter way, but at the same time producing a good outcomes. Okay, and here are some case studies. So this is the involvement of the Revit as well as the TAS. Okay, so the clients say that they've been using Cubicos for quantity takeoff. So with that, they can manage the time productively and wisely. Then they're able to analyze and operate the BIM model and extract information directly into a Cubicos platform. Other advantages is the ability to modify the setting on the attribute editor. Okay, so of course it brings up the precise and accurate quantity. And another one is the involvement of the our TRB as well as our TBQ. So it takes them around 1 month, and they build the TRB model first, and then they import to the TAS, import the BQ into the TBQ, and then they connect TAS, TRB, and the TBQ to link the quantity and the corresponding entity to the BQ item. So that will basically speed up the process, you know. So we basically escaping from the, you know, in creating the Excel spreadsheets, you know, and formula linkages. Those things are not something that is convenient. Okay, so we as a QS, we have to always work smarter. We try to find the solutions that basically make us be more focused at higher value tasks. Okay, to summarize the 5D BIM, okay, so the all elements, all processes, and all the participants have to make it work. Okay, the process have to be to change and integrate to make it more intelligent. Okay, make it more connected. And there are 3 layers that involve in this framework. Okay, so the first is the technology layers. Okay, the technology layer, where this parts of infrastructure to achieve a certain objective. Then we have a data layer, right? The data layer that we have here is the budgetary cost data, okay, the contractual cost data, the progress cost data. So how this, you know, from this technology that we have in the cloud computing, the big data processing, able to output this data under the common data environment. Okay, and moving forward, regardless, you know, you're coming from the asset owner or the consultant firm, the contractors and subcontractors, we can leverage from the 5D BIM technology. And time to time, you know, 5D BIM keeps improving to make the data easily accessible or online, on more structured and intelligent for us to make a better business decision. Okay, so need to understand these 3 layers and how it is relevant to the business and application layer over here, right? So talking about the BIM, talking about change, right? Of course, it extends to the whole industrial chain, the every enterprise, the project and person to enable digitally. And another thing is also, I think I mentioned briefly just now, is about to have a positive mindset in accepting new ideas. Okay, so again, in the market, you hear a lot of applications and technology, but there are specific reasons why it's being introduced to us. Okay, and we try to keep our positive minds to understand how we can make use of it, right? And another thing is how we set the standard. Okay, of course, construction can be quite messy, so we have to set the standards and examples to the especially to the private sector. So talking about the government level, it has to mandate the BIM, okay, and give some guidelines and examples to the private sectors. And even though uh, it's a small step that we take, okay, a small progress still a progress. And from that we can understand and learn how we can develop, right? We can develop the nations and doing it. Okay, so this is it, okay, for the summary of what we try. I think I took more time for this, and without taking so much time, so I'll just proceed with the Q&A session. And I think for this session, I'll pass back to Kimi.
Hi, Nas.
Hi.
Yes, I'm here. Thanks for the wonderful in-depth sharing. I believe our audience really love your sharing. And I think now maybe we shall move to the highly anticipated Q&A session. So just allow me to remind everyone that you may actually post in your questions to us. Just simply typing in the questions in the Q&A panel, and then our speaker Nas will be actually answer some of the questions at later section shortly. So thank you everyone for being so active. We do receive a lot of questions from our audience today. But before we pick some live questions to answer, Nas, shall we take a look at the popular questions that from our social media friends first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so here we actually have we picked 3 popular questions from our social media platform that our social media fans that actually want to bring up to us. So probably Nas can give us some advice. So the first question is the usage of cubic cost is recognized in the public or government project?
Okay, so this is it's a question because especially to those who are involved with the public projects. Okay, some people they have a concern whether the applications when they use or the outputs coming up from the applications, whether it can be accepted in the government. So we often get these kind of questions, and of course, for us as a leading digital solution provider, we always work closely with with the industry stakeholders, not just for the government, okay, but also with the private sectors or the universities, for example. So talking about the recognitions in the public or the government projects, of course, some government they may have a certain strategy, okay, to introduce to the industry. Some may not be aware of certain solution. Yes, it's happening. So taking one as an example, right? So recently we have signed memorandum of understanding with the government of Singapore on how we can basically help them, okay, to make the project to be more cost effective. So talking about recognitions, that is one of the examples that I can give. And at the same time, okay, I mean, if talking about in my country, in Malaysia, so we always closely support the the government agencies such as CIDB, okay, and we organize a lot of BIM competitions every year. That I believe that happens also for the other countries like Philippines, like Vietnam. So we always try to be how to say, to help the society in understanding first on how we work with in BIM environment. Okay, we try to help the governments on how we can, you know, develop a standards or the guidelines that finally being introduced in the execution plan. So yes, I mean, talking about the confidence that you need to put. Of course, you can be confident when you come across with our solution.
Okay, I got, I mean, our audience will be able to catch what you have mentioned just now. So I think they have a better understanding right now. So let's move to the next question. Can cubicles assist with clash detection during the design stage?
Okay, so this question also, I think there's some misconceptions on what we do. I mean, it's normal at the beginning to have this kind of concern. Okay, so the clash detection is basically involved when we try to coordinate the works at the site. All right, that might involve with the architectural works, the structural works, and even the mechanical and electrical works. So when it comes to the cubicles, it basically, so far at the moment, we basically just rely on the say the architecture and the structural models, and from it, okay, just now, like I've shown you just now on how we utilize the BIM models, and we import the BIM model into our platform. So that basically the way that we straight up to manage the cost. So again, we are not trying to be another solution provider which are covering more on the design. Okay, we as a QS, we try to understand the design, yes, and but at the same time we focus more on how we can manage the cost more effectively. So we don't really how to say, we don't really manage the clash detection, but with our technology, like the I think some of you may familiar with our TIO. Okay, with that, you know, it will detect some models that are not being modeled properly. Okay, that will cause the quantity to be I mean to be double. So we try to avoid that. Okay, so with that technology, we're able to basically see where are the parts that needs to be amended. Okay, so that is what we can provide at the moment.
Thanks, Nats, for the great sharing with us. I believe our audience are truly impressed by your sharing today. So the journey towards BIM digitalization is never easy, but we are on the way. Um, so let me just mention one more time for our audience today. If you have any more questions or you would like to have any further discussions with us, you can actually reach out to us. Just send your questions or your requests to sea-marketing@global.gloden.com, and we will respond to your email. So about the webinar certification that the participants who actually participate this full live event together with us, you'll be receive a webinar e-certification in the following week. So do check out your register email address. And if you would like to find any additional information, you may also visit our website at www.cubicles.com. And allow me to just highlight to everyone. So we have a regional office to cover the whole Southeast Asia region. So you may reach out to us if, let's say, you prefer to contact any individual regional team. So we have shared all the regional team email address here. you can directly contact our regional office. So now coming to the end of today, and I hope you all enjoyed today's session and found it fruitful and meaningful. Lastly, please take 2 minutes time to complete the event survey by clicking the survey link in the chat box. A survey link will be also emailed to you after this webinar session. We thank you for taking the time to join us and share your feedback with us. Once again, we truly appreciate your support and we really enjoy engaging with you. Ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, stay connected, and we see you soon. So Nas will be share with us ending video that will be actually give us an overview about Cubicle solution. And Nas, your turn, please.
Yeah, and I also just like to wish a thank you for all of you to give your attention, and feel free to throw us your questions. Right, so hopefully we'll be able to see you guys again in the near future. Thank you.